As cool as the ability to summon other heroes is that Kelvin now possesses, the thing that got me was actually the first skill out of the two from Goddess Mel over here, giving a little boost, a little buff. And that is the ability to survive a lethal blow. Once per month, you'll be left with that one little health point. And that's a pretty big game changer for a man who is a battle junkie, someone who's going against the strongest of the strong, trying to find the biggest thrill, the most excitement. So this goes from, potentially having a moment where it could look like he's about to die because he miscalculated, to being able to at the very least do a tactical retreat if something does kick his ass and take his name. So that's pretty exciting, but the whole idea of hero summoning is really interesting because when you look at it from Kelvin's point of view, he's never been someone who looks at the concept of heroes of something that, doesn't make sense. He thinks the idea of people wanting to go defeat great evil because that's their heroic duty makes total sense. It's just, he's not someone who wants to do that. The only reason he would go up against a Demon King or anything like that is because that's just something that seems fun to him. So, it's interesting to see the different ideas and actually clarifying some smaller tidbits that makes a lot of sense, but to me wasn't needed, but it does elevate the clarity of this show slightly. I saw a lot of people when we initially got introduced to the four heroes, they seemed too weak in comparison to Kelvin. To me, I brushed that aside as, well, Kelvin's someone who actively goes to battle and literally is trying to fight basically anything he can. Most people who are trying to survive in a world would fight when they need to, so they weren't weak, they weren't the same OP caliber as someone like Kelvin. But now we understand that if you mass summon and you don't basically reincarnate someone from scratch, you will make the hero strong enough that they could go fight the evil, but it's a lot different when you reincarnate, and basically, as Kelvin even says, sacrificing your memories for more skill points, it creates a whole level difference of OP heroes. So it's not that the heroes are weak in any way, which I thought was pretty obvious already, but I did see a lot of pushback. This episode should definitely clarify and I think downplay that narrative that, they weren't doing anything or they weren't trying. They definitely got a wake-up call from Kelvin, but they were the farthest thing from useless. It's just Kelvin is clearly a different level of OP than your typical isekai hero. And the whole idea of him contemplating, should I summon someone or not? On one hand, the more powerful adventurers he has with him, the easier his life will be, especially when trying to keep the promise he made to Jared to go basically get revenge for him. Essentially summoning someone, leaving one of your mana points left, giving them absolutely everything you can. It makes a lot of sense because you would gain a powerful warrior. But he's also considering it from the point of view of, when you look at the four heroes, they have their memories. So the idea of ripping someone from their world, potentially ripping someone from their world and someone who enjoys their life, or forcing someone to be reborn again, it's a hard thing to accept, because what if someone ended their life peacefully, or what if someone took their life and you reincarnated them? Did they really want to try again, or do they want to, basically start anew when they already had a fulfilling life? So there's a lot of things going through his mind, and I'm glad that he took the time to actually talk about that, because most characters in a show like this would immediately jump aboard and say, okay, I'm going to go summon someone. But he recognizes, even if I can't remember my memories, people will, right? And that's something that could be, immediately as soon as he summons Rion, immediately there's apologies, like, I apologize for summoning you, I essentially ripped you away. Yes, he got rather lucky that this sick girl who, it's pretty tragic having a kid who literally after being summoned was running in the yard and was just happy that she could run, the fact that she could smell the grass. Imagine growing up and all you can know is a hospital bed, and then you get summoned to a fantasy world and apparently all you could really do for fun was read those fantasy books. This is literally your saving grace here. This is the best thing ever. But you could see how it could go very differently if someone didn't want to be summoned. If someone, we've seen that in Isekai series before. And I think it's interesting because rather than having a goddess do it, you have a person who was summoned himself and he thinks about those consequences, because I could deal with a demon lord more than likely. I could deal with most things more than likely. But the adventurous side of him thinks this is going to be unlike any hero I could probably end up meeting along my journey, or any adventure I might meet along my journey. So I'm really glad that he gave caution to it, and he was ready to immediately, understand that the person could be rightfully upset. And I thought it was great because, when you see a child be summoned, you think to yourself, okay, we know the kid's gonna be mad powerful. You don't even need to have recently watched shows where You have like Mushoku Tenseis and things like that. Like, kids can be mad powerful when reincarnated. We understand that. But I was interested to see what the personality would be above all else. I have no idea what the abilities will be. I am anything that has literally almost all of his mana and, you know, crafting the ultimate reincarnation. It's going to be useful no matter what. But the whole idea of just being so happy, I was like, oh, this is interesting because this doesn't come across as a battle junkie like we're typically used to. Hell, in this episode, when Kelvin is told that he can survive lethal blows, Sarah's up here saying, I don't have to hold back anymore. This is a very different persona than who we've dealt with up to this point, and having someone have that childlike innocence of always dreaming that you could be that adventurer. But it hits so much harder because this is a kid who was strapped in a hospital bed, couldn't walk by the looks of it, and was just waiting to die. And the only peace of mind she had was reading those books. So for her, this is more than just a kid wanting to be a superhero, right? This is a kid just wanting to be able to live a normal life, and now you get that extra bump of being able to be that powerful and help the person who literally saved your life. That's what I like about Black Summoner, man. This show has really surprised me. We're now 9 episodes in, we're almost to the home stretch of this season. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I need a season 2. This has become an incredibly refreshing series, and as much as I've said that this is one of my personal favorite shows that I'm watching this season, hands down, like if I was to make like a top 20, top 25 list or something, I'm not going to, but just giving a reference, Black Summoner would be in my favorites of this year, because even though I think there's shows that I would technically rank above it in terms of writing quality, and production value and so many different things, this hits my sweet spot of entertainment gold where I don't look at any of the actions or I look at any of the characters and say, I wish this was different. I love how each of the party members have their own little element that gives it a good sense of personality. You know, you have a future potential Demon King candidate, Sarah, battle junkie similar to Kelvin, so they just kind of butt heads in the perfect way to be just kind of best friends in a lot of ways. You have an elf who was saved who, yeah, kind of has like that maidish attitude, but also is just a genuinely good support. Blushing menu goddess now turned into hot anime girl who is apparently Kelvin's wife and steals the chocolates, but being that adorable, I think it's acceptable. Best knight over here, Jared, just kind of being like, you know, someone who can casually bring up like, oh, I thought he brought another mistress home, basically. And I'm like, this man has no chill, but I absolutely love it. You just see how all the characters have their own personality, and I'm glad that rather than just adding in another character for the sake of it, or just adding in another fan service character, or another, you know, so many things that could have just been disposable, it's a pretty sweet emotional story that immediately gets your heart being tugged on, and you say, I hope this girl gets the best life possible. But I mean, going from being hooked up to a hospital bed, wishing you could be an adventurer, being summoned, doing so, and living in a mansion, yeah, there's going to be dangerous fights, but I mean, given the party and how stacked it is, I think it's the people that they're going to be attacking we got to worry about, not necessarily Kelvin, especially with his kind of survive the KO hit ability once per month. I seriously love Black Summoner. I love the characters across the board. I love the adventure, and I love just how we have a character who, even though he doesn't want to be the isekai hero that gets summoned, he recognizes what that mentality could do to other people who do choose to keep their memory, sort of a thing. So I like that he's cautious. I like that he's concerned with others without abandoning his own character all in the process. So thoughts, feelings, theories, if you got any down below, leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.